A very warm welcome and a good day to one and all. Today's topic we shall be discussing on transport catering. A bit about myself, Sheetal Gupta, an assistant professor at the AISSMS College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology based in Pune. My email address is mentioned here. For any details and queries, do get in touch and I shall be happy to revert to all of you. So without further ado, let us begin discussing on today's topic on transport catering. Transport catering essentially means catering to passengers or people traveling. Hence, we shall be speaking about air catering, rail catering, as well as ship and cruise line catering. A brief introduction on today's topic. There are different reasons for people to move out of their houses and travel. With increase in urbanization, industrialization, and tourism, more and more people have learned to move out. We categorize them into 5 different groups on the needs and requirements of their travel, namely tourism and travel, education, employment, social obligations, or on medical grounds. Considering these groups, we can then subdivide them into smaller groups, which all require volume, catering, and feeding in some way or the other. Hence, feeding large number of people in a short span of time is the prime objective of transport catering. One must here add that transport catering requires hot meals to be served in a very short span of time where passengers are in a hurry to get to their destinations. Let us start today by talking about air catering or the airlines. The civil aviation progressed rapidly after the Second World War when large numbers of surplus DC-3 and C-47 were available for disposal. From 1946, private commercial airlines began subsequent food requirements. Initially, food was just served in plastic small boxes, pre-packed, as the majority of aircraft were without the facilities of in-flight catering services. At that time, the international carriers operating via India had no access to flight kitchens and hence were largely dependent on airport restaurants or smaller hotels nearby the airports to cater for their food requirements. Initially, the first-class passengers were provided with a full silver service cutlery, but nowadays, even the first class as well as the economy class passengers are provided with plastic disposable flatware for hygiene and sanitation purpose and to avoid cross-contamination. Other non-food items like condiments of salt, pepper, sugar are supplied in small sachets. For hygiene and sanitation, most meals include a wet napkin and a dry towel. During morning flights especially, a smaller continental style or hot breakfast may be served. For the continental style breakfast, this may include a miniature box of breakfast cereal, chopped fruits, a muffin, or a pastry. Some airlines even offer the choice of hot breakfast meals, like the larger, longer haul flights, which are 14 hours or more in duration, include a heavier meal, including an entree of pancakes or eggs, along with the muffin and pastry, the fruit and the cereal. Hot tea and coffee are served by the in-house flight attendants, and even sometimes hot chocolate could be added on the menu. The quality of airline meals varies from one airline to the other. The prices charged to the passengers for the food served on board usually is included in the air travel package. However, some airlines like the Midwest airline in the US even charge $10 a meal. The quality fluctuates due to the shift in the economics of the airline industry. On longer duration flights in first class and business class, most Asian and European airlines serve multi-cuisine gourmet meals, while airlines based in the US serve large, hearty, high-quality meals, including a large salad, a steak, or a chicken breast, even ice cream and a side potato dish. The low taste or the inedibility of airline food, which is a common complaint of the passengers, can be attributed largely to the consequence of the limited space available on the aircraft and the pressure on the airlines to keep the costs low and reach their destinations on time. Hence, meals must generally be frozen and just heated on the ground before takeoff and then served to the passengers mid-air after takeoff by the flight stewards and attendants. In this picture here, you see a first-class air passenger being served by the flight attendant. Kindly notice the detailed Geredo desert trolley by which he is serving the passenger. Now let us start talking about the railway catering. In the 19th century, the railway network began in India with an operation that was to grow and cover the entire length and breadth of the vast subcontinent. With travel made easier, more people were transported from one part of the country to the other, subsequently requiring food and drink to be served en route. At most of the larger stations catering to the bigger cities, refreshment rooms were established. The trains would halt for an appropriate length of time so that the passengers could alight from the train and eat a hot meal. Third-class passengers, however, unable to afford the luxury of eating in such refreshment rooms, could avail themselves on the wares sold by the vendors on the station platforms. The railway companies have their own region, even go to the extent of setting up private hotels attached to the stations so that passengers who are changing from one region to the other could spend the night before or after in relative comfort. The luxury of sleeping cars and restaurants was a much later addition in the railways. At the turn of the century, most companies decided that catering was becoming a major part of railway travel, and the expertise to run efficient catering operations of a mobile variety were not necessarily within the scope of the regional railway bodies. Hence, at the early start of the new century, it was decided naturally to private companies or hotels with a catering background so that the traveler could be more professionally served during the long haul flight travels. In this picture here, you notice the rail attendant serving her passengers from packed trays, slim and smart, in the food that is served in aluminum casseroles, all pre-packed and pre-served to the passengers. The present railway catering service is managed both departmentally by the Indian Railways and through the licensed subcontractors. Catering facilities were available at 2,995 stations and 88 pairs of trains, the majority being catered by subcontractors. With hundreds of thousands traveling by train every day throughout the country, the turnover is huge. For departmental catering alone, in 1984-85, more than 40 crores and license fees as much as 80 lakhs was collected from subcontractors in railway catering. The ITDC, or the Indian Tourism Development Corporation, has appointed the consultant for the improvement of railway catering. To this end, a new type of service of meal in disposable aluminum foils, casseroles, is introduced on some of the major routes. Similar to airline catering, food is cooked in base kitchens at major stations and kept in hot cases in pantry cars. The service is extended to 30 pairs of trains, resulting in 20% increase in meal sales. The railways also own and operate 2 railway hotels at Ranchi and Puri. Let us now discuss on ship and cruise catering. This is a very interesting segment. Ship catering or cruise line catering is catering to cargo crew and passengers on board cruise ships. Ships have kitchens and restaurants on board. The quality of service and facilities offered depends on the class of the ship and the price the passengers are willing to pay. There are cruise ships to suit every available pocket. They range from just room service and cocktail bars to specialty dining restaurants as good as or sometimes even better than 5-star hotels on land. There are 5-star like restaurants, specialty restaurants, self-service cafeterias, bars largely extending service of alcohol as well as non-alcoholic beverages, and on-board shops and managements like entertainment zones. Top quality raw materials with special attention and sensitivity to local, ethnic, and religious culinary traditions is the go-ahead for ship cruise catering, wherein top quality raw materials and ingredients are used to make high specialty food items to be served to passengers willing to pay a price for the same. Meticulous and complete respect for hygiene, health, sanitation, and quality regulations must be followed by all ships and cruise management to ensure international levels of health safety. Top quality raw materials in accordance with the MLC 2006 rules are in place in the ships and cruise catering. In these pictures, I show you some of the elaborate, fancy menu items and fares and dishes that are served on ship cruise. Some of the menu items that you just saw, the sea catering service, which is dedicated primarily to all the passengers on board the ships. And in the picture that you just saw, elaborate fancy meals are served on the ships and cruise ships. Some of the menu items that are delicacies served on the ships are slightly salted salmon with dill mustard sauce, deep fried whitebait needle with aioli garlic herring horse ground salatia, cranberry sauce smoked lamb with mint jelly parsley, archipelago of bread butter cheese, bread canu, and cloudberry jam. These are some of the elaborate dishes served as well as cooked on the ships itself. Kindly pay attention to the short video that I will about to show you on transport catering. I hope it helps better in you to understand the elements that are involved in transport catering. Kindly pay attention now. Let's watch this interesting video.
Hi everyone, today we're going to discuss about the transport catering in the field of banquet functions and catering services procedure. For the introduction, there are different reasons for people to move out of their houses. With the increase in urbanization, industrialization, and tourism, more and more people have learned to move out of their houses. We can categorize them into 5 different groups. But before that, let me show you the very brief history of transport catering. With travel made easier, people were transported from one part of the country to the other, subsequently requiring food and drink en route, and so the reason how transport catering was begun and invented. This said that transport catering was invented to make a travel easier. It is very impossible for a traveler to not eat along the trip, so it helps to meet the people needs while in a long period of time. First, let us know what is transport or transportation. Transport means take or carry people or goods from one place to another by means of vehicle, aircraft, or ship. And what does catering mean? Catering is the business of providing food service at a remote site or a site such as hotel, hospital, PUB, aircraft, cruise ship, park, filming site or studio, entertainment site or event venue. So let us know what is transport catering. Transport catering provides food and beverages to passengers before, during, and after a journey on trains, aircraft, ships, buses, or private vehicles. It has 4 major forms of modern day. Those are airline, railway, ship, and surface catering, which operate on a long distance route. The objective or a goal of transport catering. 1 is to understand what is transport catering. 2, to know where transport catering may fall in its categories. 3, to acknowledge catering services even in a journey. 4, meet the needs of university community. And last, aim to introduce the work of catering services whenever you are. The content. As what I have said earlier, there are different reasons for people to move out of their houses. I have inserted the main reasons why. Number 1 is tourism and travel, education, employment, social obligation, and medical grounds. Tourism and travel. More and more people arriving in the country as tourists and even domestic tourism is on the increase, which results in people commuting from one place or one country to another, and hence the need to feed. Second is the education. This group includes schools in institutions, carriages, and maybe hotels. Here one has to fulfill their dietary needs, school-going children, or even college-going youngsters. Employment. Every individual in the course of his normal employment has to have at least one of his meals outside his home and at his place of work, of which gave rise to industrial canteen, office canteen, or mess, tiffin or lunchbox provisions, or even fast food or ready-to-eat meals in a short period of time. The social group. This group mainly deals with the people who socialize and are regular outgoers to either parties, functions, receptions, clubs, sports, complexes, or to hotels and restaurants, with a view to meet and enjoy with people and sometimes dine out for a total meal experience. Medical has include two groups. One is hospital. Hospital, which needs dietary feeding to a large number of patients with different types of needs. Number two is nursing. Nursing home, which again requires special diets and meals to be prepared in accordance to the patient's requirements. Let's now proceed to the four categories of transport catering. There are airlines, railways, cruise, and surface catering. Airline catering. Catering to airline passengers on board the aircraft. Meals served to passengers on board commercial airlines. These meals are prepared by specialist airline caterers and normally serve passengers using an airline service trolley for a long flight. They range from a simple snack or beverages. Railway catering. Onboard meal services are also provided on a long-distance trains. Glorious catering with a fully a la carte menu. Pantry trolleys used to take the orders and serve food. Cruise catering caters cargo crew and cruise passengers. Cruise catering, the most luxurious catering. Crews have own kitchen and restaurant on board. Food which served is fixed with a little choice. Food items some store and prepare during the journey. Surface catering. Catering to passengers traveling by surface transport, such as buses and private vehicles, normally located around the bus terminal or on the highways, has a limited menu choices only. In transport catering, even the smallest restaurant has a manager, a cook, waiter, known as butter in those days, and a cleaner. Learn more. Caterers usually produce alternative meals. Example, those kosher and vegetarian. These must usually be ordered in advance, sometimes when buying the ticket. Breakfast. During morning flight, a small continental hot breakfast may be served instead. For the continental style breakfast, this may include a miniature box of breakfast cereal, cat food, a muffin, or pasty. For additional information, catering, initially first-class passengers were often provided with full set of metal cutlery, but now both first class and coach class passengers are provided with plastic flatware. Other non-food items, condiments, typically salt, pepper, and sugar, are supplied in small sachets. For sanitation, both meals include a napkin and a wet wipe, also called a moist towel, often moistened with scented water. A travel class is a quality of accommodation and public transport. The accommodation could be a suite or a cabin, for example. Higher travel classes are designed to be more comfortable and are typically more expensive. The traveler has three types: the first class, the business class, and the economy class. Quality may also fluctuate due to shifts in the economics of the airline industry. On the longest flights in first class and business class, most Asian and European airlines serve multi-course gourmet meals, while airlines based in the US tend to serve a large, hearty, high-quality meals including a large salad, steak or chicken, potatoes, and ice cream. Meals must generally be frozen and heated on the ground before takeoff rather than prepared fresh. Food safety is paramount in the airline catering industry. There could be little worse than a severe case of food poisoning among the passengers on an airliner. When designing a meal service for a passenger flight, it must be keep in mind that the passengers have no other sources of food except what the airline is offering. They cannot buy a meal elsewhere when stuck in the air. Technical crew meals. Food safety with technical crew meals is even stricter than for passengers. Many food stocks are banned completely from tech crew meals, including all egg products and often any dairy that has not been ultra heat treated. Galley. The galley area is related to the kitchen system and is designed for dry storage, cool storage, preparation and cooking of foodstuffs and dishwashing. The spaces and volumes of both areas are exploited with rationally in order to ensure easy, organic use and movement, both for the client and for the operator.
Well, I do hope that you enjoyed this interesting and detailed video on transport catering. I end my presentation here by issuing a vote of thanks to all of you for your time and patience. I do hope I was able to clarify on the topic of transport catering. A bit mentioned about the reference books I have used here: Event Management by R.K. Singh and Sita Ram, Transport Catering by Cracknell and Nobis, and Airport Catering and Transport Catering, a vintage article containing information on catering on aeroplanes, trains, and ships by Morel J.J. All AISSMS students are also requested to attempt the quiz link that will be attached in the description box after this video. All AISSMS students are required to attempt this quiz as a revision. Thank you. Have a great day and stay safe.